Welcome to Nancy's Corner for April. We have some good books to talk about this morning, so let's get started. The first one, I'm going to do the adult books first, is Before She Was Helen by Carolyn B. Cooney. Now, I'm going to be honest, I read this whole book, every page, and I still haven't decided whether or not I like it. I thought it was going to be really funny because it starts out, there's this 70-year-old lady who lives in a retirement community, and each little pod where the people live, there's 3 apartments. Well, she has one on the end. There's this old man that has the apartment in the middle, and then the apartment on the end, the people are very seldom there. Well, nobody likes the crotchety man in the middle, so she has taken it upon herself to check in on him every day. Well, she checks in on him and he doesn't answer the phone, he doesn't answer the text. So she gets his key and she goes in his house and looks for him and he's not there. But she sees a secret door leading to the 3rd apartment, which she doesn't have. So against her better judgment, she goes in and starts to snoop. And she finds this beautiful sculpture. It's half dragon, half tree, and she takes a picture of it and sends it to her great niece and nephew to say, "Look what I found, this is so beautiful." Well, her great nephew texts back and says, "That's not a sculpture, it's a marijuana pipe." Which, even though she has not led a sheltered life, she had never seen anything like that. So this is all posted on social media, and the drug dealer decides he's going to come visit this lady and get his pipe and his stolen money back. And that's where the funny part ends, because you find out she is living under the name of Helen because she was attacked in high school by the basketball coach, and they are reopening his 50-year-old murder. And wherever she would go, he would find her. So that part of the story ends very satisfyingly, which is why I kept reading the book, because I wanted to find out who actually killed him. I won't tell you, you'll have to read the book. But the whole neighborhood takes drugs. The people across the street are also drug dealers. And it's just, there are 2 murders, and I guess it just wasn't my kind of book. But anyway, I hope you'll give it a try. Maybe you'll like it more than I did. This next one was fun. This is The Chicken Sisters by K.J. Del Antonio. Back in the 1800s, these 2 sisters started chicken restaurants. One serves chicken, french fries, biscuits, pie if they feel like making it. And the other one, the main thing they serve is also fried chicken, but it has expanded to a regular restaurant. There has been a feud going down through the generations between these 2 sisters' families. Well, present day, one of the great nieces or grandchildren decides she is going to contact a reality TV show called Food Wars and put one chicken restaurant up against the other, hopefully to stop the feud and to see who has the best chicken restaurant after all. Well, all kind of family secrets come out. Relatives come in from out of town. They find out finally what the feud was about, which I'm not going to tell you that either because it's really insignificant. And it caused generations of really not liking each other. The book ends happy. There is some stiff language in here, not enough that it would make you not want to read the book, because the 2 sisters can't stand each other. And they're fighting and family secrets come out. But it does end happy, and this is a really fun one to read. We have gotten in a good number of graphic novels. This one caught my eye. It's called I Will Judge You by Your Bookshelf, and it is written by Grant Snyder. This is all cartoons about books and how this person loves books, and then it goes into how he wants to be a writer. It's a really fun book to look at. If you love books or you're an aspiring writer, this is for you. And we also have a lot more new graphic novels that you can come check out. This one I finished yesterday, by the way. and it was really good. How the Penguins Saved Veronica. This is by Hazel Pryor. Veronica is an 83, I believe, or 86-year-old woman who is in good health, but she knows her life is coming to an end, and she hasn't really done anything important in her life. So she's watching TV one day and she sees a documentary on penguins and she gets interested. And she decides she's going to Antarctica to work with these scientists for 3 weeks and see what the penguins are really like. She's a very rich woman, and maybe she will leave her money to this penguin organization. So she emails them and they tell her, don't come. There are very harsh conditions. A person of your age is not going to make it. So she goes anyway, because nobody can stop Veronica when she sets her mind to something. She also has a long-lost grandson that she decides to contact. Well, he is kind of a bum, and she is very disappointed. She lives in Scotland, and she's one of these very proper older ladies. I love the expression where she talks about some young men wearing their pants to their nether regions. So you gotta love Veronica. Well, anyway, she's out with the penguins. Really, she's having a good time. They have come to accept her. She gets them to adopt a baby penguin that is just wandering around on the ice, and they don't want to do it, but she talks them into it. Well, she goes out by herself one day and gets really cold and very, very sick. So they call the grandson to come to Antarctica because they think she's going to die. So she's been emailing with her grandson. She left him her high school diaries, which explains who his grandfather was. And he goes out to Antarctica to say goodbye to her. Well, she survives. And her grandson falls in love with one of the scientists. And he ends up staying there. I guess I shouldn't be telling you the nice ending. But anyway, Veronica goes back. And she says that the penguins really saved her because they opened up her heart again. And she admires their family instincts, their colonies, the way they live their lives. And she really falls in love with all the penguins. And it is a very, very sweet story. And you're going to love Veronica. Okay, now we're going to go to the teen books. This is a new one. It's called Admission by Julie Buxbaum. And this is very timely. It is about a woman who pays someone to correct her daughter's college entrance scores. And she gets caught and she goes to jail. And this story is about the daughter that was supposed to go to college and also her younger daughter and how they handle their mother's situation and what she did. Right out of the headlines. So I think that would be pretty good. The next one is In the Hall with the Knife. This is written by Diana Peterfront. This is like the Clue game. They have all the names: Mr. Body, Scarlet, Green, Peacock, and it's about a very rich boarding school that floods. There's a storm, and there's one main building that is on a hill, so it doesn't get flooded, and that's where this group of students end up. And you have the jock, and you have the mean girls, and you have the scholarship kid, and they're all in this house. Well, Mr. Body dies, and they have to figure out who did it before the waters go down and the police come, which of course they do. Now there is a second book, the same type of thing, which we do have. And when this one ends, it leads you right into the second book. This was pretty good. I read this one. So I hope you'll come in and see what it's like. Now, April is Poetry Month. So I'm going to talk about some poetry books. This is Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson. It is written in verse. As you can see, it's not a regular page-by-page story. This is about a girl who lives in the 50s and 60s. It's an African-American girl. Part of her time she's living in the South, and part of her time she's living in the North. And she doesn't really fit in either place. because they moved around a lot. But the best thing about her life is her family. She has very strong family ties, and it's really an interesting book to read because of the way it's written. We do have more books written in verse. I picked this one because I thought it looked very interesting. Now, for our children's books for Poetry Month, this is A Child's Garden of Verses by Robert Louis Stevenson. And this, I'm not really a poetry person, but I remember this book from my childhood. I remember my mama reading me these poems, and I really enjoyed them. So we have a lot of poetry books for children, but this one is my favorite because I grew up with this one. Another one, poetry, is Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. And he wrote the poems and did all the drawings. These are funny, fun poems for children. My favorite is Hug-A-War, because everybody hugs and everybody wins. And you have, this will make you laugh. It's a fun introduction to silly poetry. If your child is not quite interested in it, I think they would like this one. So that's all for poetry. We do have a new series of books here in the children's room. It's called Magic on the Map, Let's Move. This is written by Courtney Scheinmel and Bianca Turetsky and illustrated by Stevie Lewis. And if your child likes Magic Tree House, this would be another good series. This is about a talking camper. And once the two little children get in it, they are just out of second grade. So this is probably a little younger than Magic Tree House. They go in the camper and they're playing around in it, and the little boy turns the key, and all of a sudden the camper starts to talk to them. And it whisks them away to Denver, Colorado, to a cattle ranch where they have to find a very special cow who has gone missing. We have all 4 of these here in the children's room ready to be checked out. So again, if your child likes Magic Tree House, I think they would like these too. I have the next 2 books are by Malcolm Mitchell. He was a football player for the New England Patriots. He wrote the next 2 books, and this one is illustrated by Joanne Lou Vreithoff. It's called The Magician's Hat. And this is about Family Day at the library. And there is a magician who says he found out about magic at a family day in the library when he found a magic book. So he's asking the children, what do they want to be? Well, one little girl says she wants to be a dentist. So he says, reach into the book. So she reaches into the book and pulls out a book all about teeth. Well, he does that with a couple of other kids, and one little boy says, I don't believe it. Our parents told you what we wanted and you put the books in there. He goes, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up? The little boy says, a dog. So he goes, okay, come reach into my hat. So he reaches way, way down into the hat and pulls out a book about space. And he goes, I really want to be an astronaut. How did you know that? And the magician said, it's all up to you. And the magic of the hat is for children to reach into the library and find books about absolutely any subject, and they will find out what they want to be. So it's a really nice book. The other one by Malcolm Mitchell is illustrated by Michael Robertson, and I like this one even better than the other one. It's called My Very Favorite Book in the Whole Wide World. This little boy doesn't really like to read all that much. He doesn't mind reading, but it's kind of hard for him. And he hasn't found a book that he really enjoys yet. Well, one homework assignment his teacher gives the class is to bring in the next day your very favorite book in the whole wide world. And he panics because he doesn't have one. So he goes to the library, and the librarian helps him, but he can't find anything. So he goes to the bookstore, and the bookstore lady can't help him either. He looks through all kinds of books, and he just can't find one that he would consider his favorite. So he goes home and Mama says, "What's wrong?" And he tells her, and she gives him a nice little kiss and hug and says, "Sometimes your favorite book is inside of you." And that gives him an idea of writing his very own book. And the subject of the book is How I Found My Very Favorite Book in the Whole Wide World. And he writes about his journey going to the library and the bookstore and the thought process of how he couldn't find the book until he wrote it. Very, very sweet book. Really cute pictures. And everybody's going to love this little guy who finally finds his favorite book in the whole wide world. So, those are our books for April. I hope you found something that you'll be interested in. If not, I hope you'll come in anyway and look for something that you are interested in, and then you might find your very favorite book in the whole wide world. See you next time. Hope to see you in the library.